Hello princesses! Today I'm going to be talking about the Farencross Tattoo Waterproof Scar Concealer. I picked this up with the rest of the Farencross products. This one wasn't requested, I just saw it and I thought that it looked cool and decided to pick it up. So in this review I'm going to be doing a product description, packaging and swatches, application and final thoughts. So if you'd like to skip to any of these points, please do so now. So for this one, the product description says, this ultra lightweight water and sweat-proof concealer adheres closely to the skin with a buildable coverage to hide dark circles, redness and other imperfections, giving a second skin feel. Fills in fine lines and pores that leave a smooth texture. The unique moisturizing water-like texture allows to blend smoothly into the skin without cakiness. Smudge-proof and long-lasting formula that maintains an even skin tone all day. Infused with skin-soothing Psychocomplex. The packaging of this product is very small. It is, like the size of my, not even the size of my palm. Like it is very little, surprisingly little. I thought it would be bigger. But otherwise it does have the really nice classic Farencross packaging. It has a really nice label on the front of it. I think it just looks really elegant. And the bottom kind of reminds me of the lip tints where it has the product in like a glass center. I got the shade 21 Light Beige, and this is the lightest of the two colors. It would be a lot nicer if they had more than two colors, let's just say that. So here's how my birthmark looks with no product on it and no product on my face. I'm going to be starting off using the Farencross concealer, and this is the first layer of concealer. I put it straight onto the birthmark and then blend it out using my fingers to get the most opaque coverage, and then I'm also going to go over and smooth it out with a cushion puff. This just ensures that I have like a streak-free finish. I'm also going to go over my scars in this one as well, just for good measure. So here it is with the first layer of product, and then I'm going to go straight in with a second layer. I'm not using any kind of powders on this one, it's just the product on top of the product, which I think gives the better finish as well. I did find that this one made my neck kind of like a funny color. You can see that it's going kind of like pinkish orange, especially like when you look in the mirror, you can clearly see that there's like this odd mark. And this is mostly because the concealer is not quite the right color for me. It looks kind of fine with the birthmark, but on the neck you can definitely see an odd line. And then this is the third layer of product. With this one I wanted to try and let the product kind of dry down before blending it out more. And this is what it looked like when I was doing that. It didn't really work that well. It kind of looks better because you get a bit more high coverage, but because of the way that I hadn't blended it out around the back corner, you ended up with this weird line. Then I'm going to be putting on a cushion over the top, so I'm going to do the rest of my face with this cushion. This is also the Farencross cushion, and then I'm going to apply a little bit over the top of the concealer to try and blend the colours in with the rest of the face. Otherwise the concealer is a slightly different colour to the rest of my cushion. It applies fine over the top of the concealer, but it really did emphasise that weird patch where I hadn't blended it out 100% correctly and let it dry. And you can see it better here in the mirror. And here is a clearer shot with better lighting. So I'm standing in front of natural lighting and you can see the color difference between the neck and the concealer. And you can also see that really odd line where I haven't quite blended it out properly. So I definitely don't recommend letting the concealer dry because you can clearly see where that happened. But otherwise the coverage is really good. You can still see the birthmark, but the texture of the concealer blends in really nicely with the texture of the cushion. So it doesn't look like I've got 3 layers of concealer on. Here is another day of applying the same concealer. Here is the birthmark before, and this is the concealer that I'm using, still the Farencross. I'm using the same application technique as I did in the first one, but this time I'm not going to let the concealer dry and I'm going to try and blend it in with the rest of my face. So this is the first layer. And here is the second layer going on, again exactly the same way as before. And then here is the third layer. So I'm really packing it on and I'm making sure that I blend it over the top of the line where the birthmark finishes and my regular coloured skin would start for the best chance of getting rid of that line itself. And that's looking really, really, really good, I think. I'm going to add the Farencross cushion again. I use the same cushion for all of these applications just so that we get the best chance of continuity. And here's what it looks like with my regular lighting. You can see a little bit of pinkness in the cheek where the concealer wasn't quite blended out enough. I feel like I could have maybe brought the concealer further onto my cheek to make it look more natural, but it's pretty good. And here it is in different lighting. Again, you can see a little bit of a shadow, but I feel like it's pretty well blended in. is never going to be completely gone, but I think that it's probably the best that I'm going to get while still maintaining the natural finish. So I've done a fair bit of experimenting with this one to actually cover my birthmark, and I wanted to show you guys a few comparisons. So I've shown you how my birthmark is covered by my current concealer, which is the Apu Creamy Moist Concealer in the shade Frozen, and then my more high coverage concealer, which is the Pony Effect Pro Cream Concealer. So if you'd like to see how my birthmark is covered by those products in comparison to this one, this is that. Same day, same birthmark, but a different concealer. This is the Apu Moist Creamy Concealer, which is the concealer that I've been using for maybe like 2 or 3 years now. This one is a really great everyday concealer, but I don't think it works very well on the birthmark because when you blend it out, the coverage just kind of disappears. And if you don't blend it out, it just looks really heavy and unblended, which is obviously not good. Here is the second layer of product going on, and I'm doing the same thing. I'm not setting them with powder in between. I'm using a mirror to help me with the corner because I can't see around my own cheekbone. It's really hard. My eyes get very sore while doing this. So the second layer covers up pretty well, and we're going in with a third layer as well. But I don't feel like the third layer actually adds any more coverage than the second layer didn't have. This one is probably the least effective in terms of concealers, and you can see the birthmark the most through this one, but it is the best colour, which is a shame. Then I'm going to use my more heavy duty concealer, which is the Pony Effect Pro Concealer. I think that's what it's called. I don't think they actually sell this one anymore. I got it really cheap because it was close to expiry. I think it was like $2 or $3, which was a great bargain at the time. And I have mine in the shade number 1, which I think is called Fair. With this one I have to use quite a lot of product, but it does blend out really easily and it has a nice silicone slip texture. So with one layer it covers up really well. We're going in for the second layer, and again I'm going to do the same thing. I'm applying it using the fingers. I'm using quite a few applications of this one to really build up the coverage. I'm patting it on with a finger and then blending it out a bit with that cushion puff to get the nice blended consistency. It helps to pick up any parts that I've missed. And after 2 layers, it actually looks really good as well. And then we're going in for the third layer just to create any of those little sections. So you can see me going around the line where the birthmark is and where my cheek is, but not much else is being covered by the third application. And this is how it looks without any cushion. I am of course going to apply the cushion as well after we get a look in a slightly different lighting. This one has less exposure, so it's a little bit easier to see the birthmark. And then I'm using the same cushion from Foreign Cost to apply over the top as well, just to try and even out the colour between my face and the birthmark concealer. And this is how it looks. I think that it looks really great. It has a really similar amount of coverage to the Foreign Cost concealer. But when we look at it in more natural lighting, we can see that there's a difference in the consistency of texture in my skin, which I don't love as much. I don't think that there's more coverage with this concealer in comparison to the Foreign Cost concealer, but I believe that the texture looks different to me personally. So for this one, I actually really like it more than I expected. So to start with, the reason that I bought it is because I thought that it would be good for my scars. And it is good for my scars, but it's not nearly as good for my scars as it is for my birthmark, which I was not buying it for, basically. Like it's not the reason that I purchased the product. However, it is a very good use of the product. So for a quick backstory, if you guys don't know, this is a Cafe Au Lait birthmark. It is a like milk color, basically like milk chocolate. It's just on the side of my face here and a little bit onto my ear too. I'm not really concerned about the ear. You don't really see it that much because I do tend to hide it with my hair. Why? Because it avoids unnecessary questions, and otherwise people see it and they assume that I've put something on my skin, or like the rest of my skin is this color and for some reason I've covered my entire body with like white foundation and just forgotten this part. Like really just frustrating questions because people shouldn't need to ask about it. Sometimes it's nice to cover it up if I wanted to go out and about with my hair up and I didn't want to be bothered by questions. You know, like if I was going to a fancy event. It's not that I don't like the look of it. I don't really care. I just don't like being hassled by questions. It's nice to just pretend that it's not there. And it's not something that I get to do often because, like you see with the other concealers, they either do not cover it enough, you can still see that it's there, and it just looks more weird because it looks like I've messed up my makeup. Or like with the Pony Effect concealer, I have to wear a full face to go with it because this ends up being full coverage, and then it looks weird in comparison because I'm not going to put the concealer over my entire face. I've got two different textures of skin tone, and again, it looks weird because I look like I'm covering something up. The beauty of this one is the weird silicone texture that it gives is really nice. It does blend in with the rest of my skin. Like if I'm applying it on that part, I can blend it in with the rest of my face. Do not let it set like I did one time because it does look cakey. That was dumb, but there we go. We know not to do that. And I can put another cushion over the top of it or apply a cushion around it, and it doesn't look like it's mismatched, which is really nice. Yes, it doesn't cover 100%. I think the only thing that's covered at 100% is the Dermablend concealer, but it was so thick. Like it was so thick on my skin, it just looked stupid because it looked like a different texture, so it didn't work for me either. This is actually the closest that I have come to concealing my birthmark while still being able to wear my regular makeup. Like ever. Which is like shocking and surprising, but yeah. For those who are not looking to conceal such a heavy duty colour difference, it's a really lovely concealer otherwise. It has high coverage and it has this really nice texture where it's like this slippery smooth, easy to blend, but it doesn't lose the coverage instantly kind of consistency, which makes it so easy to work with. My only concern is that it's such a tiny little bottle. I don't know how much is in this bottle. I can't really find any information for the mils online, and I can't see anything on the packaging that would tell me this either. But it doesn't look that much. So it's not a concealer that I'm going to be using for my everyday makeup, but it is definitely one that I'm going to be holding on to for those special occasions where I just don't want to be asking questions 24/7. Would I recommend this? Yeah, if they made more shades. Like there's 2 shades. I am very lucky that this shade is close enough to my own natural skin tone that it works. It's not bang on perfect, but it's close enough. But with only 2 shades, it's really not going to fit that much of the population, and I think that that's such a shame. They should have a more broad colour range, and we shouldn't be having to ask for this in this day and age. But otherwise, love the product. It is fantastic. So thank you guys so much for watching this review, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!